Saturn's White Storm. In 2010, the Cassini-Huygens space probe managed to observe what appeared to be a massive white storm on the surface of Saturn, named by analogy with Jupiter's Great Red Spot. This phenomena consists of the appearance of periodic storms large enough to be seen with terrestrial telescopes, and is distinguished by having a white appearance very similar to the color acquired by hurricanes on Earth, with the difference that these storms on Saturn can be several thousand kilometers wide. This phenomenon occurs approximately every 28.5 years when Saturn's northern hemisphere is oriented mainly toward the Sun. Although the first computer modeling in the early 1990s suggested that these massive atmospheric phenomena were caused by thermal instability on the planet, in 2015, two Caltech planetary scientists proposed a more detailed mechanism. The theory is that when Saturn's upper atmosphere experiences seasonal cooling, it loses density as it sheds water vapor in the form of rain, while hydrogen and helium behave as water does on Earth, forming storm clouds before Saturn's winter solstice begins. These clouds remain for a short time in the atmosphere of Saturn. They are expected to reappear in 2038, so if you have a telescope, you better prepare because these clouds are visible even with amateur telescopes. Alignment of all planets. Although we see planetary conjunctions every year, it is difficult or nearly impossible to see all the planets in the solar system aligned. Just for the four rocky planets, Mercury, Venus, Earth, and Mars, to align would have to wait almost 1 million years. The closest we can expect to an alignment of all the planets is something that will happen in May of the year 2492. On this date, the 7 planets can be seen simultaneously in the night sky, excluding Earth, since it is the planet from where we will see the conjunction. Yes, possibly by then most of us will no longer be here, but it is not too much to share this data with our children or grandchildren. Maybe they will get to see it. Destruction of Jupiter's moons. With the recent discovery of 12 new moons of Jupiter, it is known that this planet has the most satellites with retrograde orbits. We recommend that you watch the video we made on this topic. Moons with retrograde orbits rotate opposite to the planet's rotation. Still, Jupiter has one in particular, which orbits the planet in the same direction as Jupiter, but in an area where all the others rotate in the opposite direction. That is, if they were to intercept, which is believed to have already happened before, they would cause a collision in which both moons would be destroyed. If this happens in the following years, it will be an excellent time for astronomers to study collisions between asteroids and natural satellites in the solar system. It will also be a magnificent opportunity to observe it from Earth with a telescope. New meteor showers that didn't exist before. Over the last few years, new asteroids and comets have been orbiting the Sun. One of them was the recently discovered comet C2022 E3ZTF, characterized by a slightly green color. This comet passed close to Earth in February of 2023 and will not be seen again for about 52,000 years, as long as I don't leave the solar system once I reach the Oort cloud. Just like this comet, astronomers have discovered other objects around the Sun and near the orbit of the Earth. The particularity with these objects is that when passing near the Sun, they give off large amounts of material such as rocks, ice, and dust that are suspended in interplanetary space. Some astronomers suspect that if we continue to find these types of objects, sooner or later one of these will leave a trail that crosses the orbit of the Earth. This will cause that every time our planet passes through that region of the solar system, it will produce a shower of stars, better known as meteor showers. This means that in the coming years, we could have many more dates in the year with meteor showers. Longest total solar eclipse of the century, August 2nd, 2027. On this date, the moon will completely obscure the sun, and it may be the spectacle of your life, since it will be the longest total solar eclipse of the century, with a duration of 6 minutes and 23 seconds. Although it may not sound like much, remember that most solar eclipses don't last more than 5 minutes. That extra minute will mean a whole record in eclipse duration times. The best part is that you can have a front row seat for this phenomenon, as one of the best places where you will be able to see this eclipse is the Valley of the Kings, just above the Nile from Luxor in Egypt. Apophis, April 13th, 2029. Will it be the end of the world on this date? No, calm down. The asteroid Apophis has no collision course with Earth. However, this astronomical object will pass dangerously close to our beloved planet on this date. According to the most modest orbital calculations, everything indicates that Apophis will pass even under some telecommunications satellites and can be seen with the naked eye as a very bright star moving slowly in the sky, threatening our species and reminding us of the dangers out there. Fortunately for humanity, Apophis will not hit Earth, but this approach is expected to deflect and make it return, passing close to our planet again in 2036. But don't worry, we will not be in danger on this second occasion either. Everything indicates that Apophis will not crash into Earth, so be prepared to see it pass very close in a few years. The last three positions of this list are not only astronomical events, but also will be achievements of the human race in space exploration. First, spacecraft on the Galilean moons. Jupiter's moons have always fascinated humanity, especially the four largest, Europa, Ganymede, Io, and Callisto. These four moons together are as large as planets and have resources of extreme importance to humanity, specifically water. Today we know that at least Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto have whatever it takes to host not only oceans of water beneath their ice sheets, but they may also have microbial life inside, hidden beneath the thick ice sheets that cover them. Discovering that we are not alone in the universe is one of humanity's greatest ambitions, and it is possible that in these three natural satellites, we will finally find an answer to those questions. That is why space agencies worldwide are planning future missions to explore these moons and penetrate their thick ice caps in search of water and life. Return of humans to the moon. In past videos, we've talked about how tough it is to return to the moon, even though technology has made much progress in recent years. However, everything indicates that the new space race to return to the moon has begun. Several private and governmental space agencies have already set their sights on our natural satellite. Most likely in the coming decades, we will witness a new era of astronauts from diverse nations working and collaborating to establish the first lunar base for an extended or possibly indefinite stay of humans on the moon. If we can take advantage of the resources offered by our natural satellite and obtain a constant supply of water, the stay of humans on the moon will be a reality that we will all come to see. The first human on Mars. Finally, we have one of humanity's greatest dreams, something that many fiction writers have thought about and so far has not yet been achieved. To convert the human race into a species capable of living on two worlds. So far, the furthest humanity has come is to our natural satellite. Still, if the race to reach the moon goes well, which motivates countries to go further, we may see the first human being to set foot on another planet other than ours in the same century. In addition to Earth, Mars is the most hospitable planet with life compared to all the others. It has characteristics very similar to our planet. It has a 23-hour day, and we know that it also has water and had it in the past. If all goes well, if our civilization manages to overcome its differences through peace and nonviolence, if we manage to walk together and progress for the common good, perhaps, and only maybe, our children or grandchildren will come to see the first human being to become a Martian.
Asteroid flying by Earth. While it's true that space is a place that is full of awe and wonder, many know that it's also a place full of dangers. And one of the biggest dangers out there is the threat of asteroids. Despite what sci-fi films tell you, if an asteroid big enough to destroy the Earth heads directly for us, we honestly don't have much that could stop it. What's even more scary, though, is that there have been many cases throughout history where asteroids have had flybys with Earth, meaning that they'll fly right past us or get really close to us. And another one of those flybys is coming soon. In less than a decade, on April 13th, 2029, one such flyby will happen. The asteroid itself was discovered all the way back in 2004, and it was named 999 Apophis. When it arrives near Earth on 2029, it'll literally fly between the Earth and the Moon. What's more, when its projected flight path in 2004 it was deemed that there was a possibility that it could hit Earth, and given its size, it would have had quite an impact. However, further study rendered that theory false, though not by the margin you might think. The margin it's going to miss Earth is only about 31,000 kilometers, give or take, which is a significant distance, but not one that is so far out of reach that we wouldn't be scared by it. There are actually satellites out in orbit around the Earth that are farther out than this asteroid will be when it arrives. Still, at present, we don't have any danger of this asteroid hitting the Earth, and given the size of 999 Apophis, scientists are going to be eagerly studying the rock so they can learn more about asteroids of this size. Solar eclipse. Technically speaking, a solar eclipse is not a rare phenomenon. The key factor that you have to take note of is where you live in the world, because depending on where you are, solar eclipses can happen as frequently as every year or so. But in terms of Earth-wide solar eclipses where the Sun and the Moon cross over in the same spot, those are a little more sporadic. In August 2nd, 2027, certain parts of the world, mainly those close to the prime meridian, will be able to witness not just a solar eclipse, but one that will last for over 6 minutes, which will make this particular eclipse the second longest one of the entire century. While 6 minutes of light may not seem like a lot in the grand scheme of time, you need to remember that this is an event where the Sun is blocked by the Moon almost entirely, meaning that the light that hits the Earth is blocked by the Moon itself. So for that to happen for 6 minutes or longer is actually a pretty substantial astrological occurrence, and one that will no doubt be witnessed by many people who want to see this long event. Now, as mentioned, there are some areas that will be able to witness the eclipse much better than others. That's because when it comes to events like this, the path of the Sun, Moon, and Earth are all paramount in witnessing something like an eclipse. Britain via Gibraltar, parts of northern and southern Africa, for example, will be the best witnesses to the event. But don't feel bad if you're not along that path. Smaller eclipses will happen in your lifetime if you're in the right spot. When it comes to the stars that light up the sky, they all have different phases of life. And when it comes to the state known as a supernova, that means that they get much, much brighter in a very short period of time. That's because they're dying, and they emit a massive amount of mass and energy that is seen as light just before they die out. By that token, when this event happens, it has the ability to be so bright that it can outshine just about everything else in the regions of space. As for how often this happens, it's rare, mainly because stars can last millions if not billions of years, depending on circumstances and makeup. But about twice every century, a supernova happens, which means you might just be able to see one soon, and possibly sooner than you think. After all, the last supernova occurred in 1987, and that thing went on for months before the light burned out. So since that happened over 30 years ago, we're right on track to see one sometime. In 2013, scientists mapped out that we could see one within the next 50 years. What's more, they stated that while most would have to use a telescope to find and see it, there is a chance, about 20%, that you can see this supernova with your own eyes in the night sky. Venus passing by Jupiter. The 9, I'm counting Pluto, sue me, planets of our solar system are all very unique compared to one another. And one of the reasons for this is that their orbits around the Sun are all different. No two planets orbit the Sun the same way in one form or another. Part of this is because of distance, and the other is because of the makeup of the planets having a different effect when the Sun's gravity pulls it. Anyway, this leads to some very interesting events over time, including Venus actually passing in front of Jupiter. Obviously, this doesn't happen that often. The last time was in 1818, but the next one isn't too far away. You know, if you count 2065 as not too far away. This event will happen on November 22nd of 2065, and unlike the last convergence of these planets, it'll be visible to more people because we know what to look for. That being said, it won't be visible to the naked eye, mainly because it's going to converge in the daytime near the Sun, so you'll need a telescope in order to see it. Still, this is a rare event and one worth checking out. Leonid meteor shower. While it's true that Earth is in danger from falling rocks in space, oftentimes they burn up in the atmosphere before they ever really hit Earth. And when enough of this happens at one time, we get the beautiful event known as a meteor shower. But what's special about the Leonid meteor shower is that this one is a recurring event, thanks to a meteor called Temple Tuttle that passes by the Earth every 33 years or so. So it's a lot like Halley's Comet. However, unlike Halley, this comet passes so close to the Earth's atmosphere that parts of it break off, and thus shower down on the Earth itself, creating a very beautiful effect. The shower itself can even have about 100,000 meteorites raining down every hour, though it can also just do about 10 to 15 per hour, which is also quite a sight, I grant you. Thankfully for you, dear viewer, in 2031, the next Leonid meteor shower is scheduled, and it's said to be another major one that can produce the massive amounts of fragments that rain down from above. Supermoon. The moon plays a very big part of life on Earth, even if you don't realize it. It helps light up our skies, has a gravity that affects the oceans, and more. But what sometimes is forgotten is that there are times when the orbit of the moon gets really, really close to the Earth. This event is known as a supermoon, and if that sounds familiar to you, that would be because one such astronomical event happened in 2016. It was captured in many places, including the TV show Deadliest Catch. The supermoon itself appeared 14% bigger in the night sky because of how close it was to the Earth at the time. And on December 6, 2052, an even bigger supermoon is coming. It'll only be about 140,000 kilometers from Earth, which is the closest it'll have been to our planet in a very long time. But if you're worried about what that might mean for the planet, fear not, because aside from shaking up the oceans a little bit, as witnessed on Deadliest Catch, it doesn't have an effect of note on anything else. And for that, we honestly should be grateful. Transit of Earth from Mars. December 10th, 2084 may seem like a long time away, and honestly it actually is. But it's a date that places like NASA and SpaceX have marked on their calendars right now, because this could be one of the most historical astronomical events in history, just not in the way you think. The phrase transit of Earth from Mars means that if you were on Mars, you would see the Earth pass in front of the Sun and slightly obscure it. This has happened in the past due to orbits, but it's never been witnessed on Mars for obvious reasons. However, the plan for humanity is to eventually colonize Mars. Some are even saying that the first colony attempts will happen in the next 5 years, if not the next decade. So by the time we reach 2084, it's possible we could have living, breathing cities or metropolises on Mars that can fully see the event, which would thus make it a very historical astronomical event. Granted, we are getting a little ahead of ourselves, but a date less than 65 years away is a lot more feasible colonization-wise than something that might have happened, say, 10 years from now. Why not dream? The destruction of Earth. Okay, not really, and obviously to witness that is a bit of a misnomer. However, there are scientists out there that believe the rock known as asteroid 2012 TC4 will not only pass by the planet in 2050 in a close call in terms of flyby, but also that by 2079, a mere 60 years away, that could actually collide with the planet, causing lots of destruction as this asteroid is the size of a large house. Right now, the odds of hitting the planet in 2079 are a mere 1 in 750. For the record, that's really low odds and not in the good way. But the benefit is that if it does hit the planet, it won't destroy the Earth. It could cause some serious impact, though, depending on where it lands.
See Halley's Comet twice or more. Halley's Comet is one of the most famous comets because, unlike other comets that take hundreds or thousands of years to pass near Earth, Halley's Comet can be seen in the sky approximately every 76 years. However, most of you watching this video likely have not seen this comet once in your life because the last time Halley's Comet passed by Earth was in 1986, and the next time that will happen will be in 2061. This means that if you were born after the year 2000, you will most likely only be able to see Halley's Comet once in your life, since after 2061, the next time Halley's Comet will be visible from Earth again will be approximately 2134. That is to say, if you were born in this millennium to be able to see Halley's Comet twice, you would have to live at least 134 years. Unfortunately, there's no record of anyone who has lived that long. Unless you were born a few years before 2061, you could see it when you are a baby, and then again when you're an older adult in 2134. But you will not be able to see it a third time. Chernobyl is habitable again. 22,000 years left. The Chernobyl exclusion zone, created after the nuclear disaster in 1986, remains a highly contaminated location and is unsuitable for long-term human life without adequate protective measures. The radiation released by the Chernobyl nuclear disaster included long-lived radioactive elements such as cesium-137 and strontium-90, which will remain a radiation source for many years. While there have been some initiatives to use the area for scientific purposes and ecotourism under strict security measures, permanent habitation without specialized protection at Chernobyl is a very distant prospect in the future due to the persistent radiation and the need for an extensive process of decontamination and mitigation. Radiation in the area remains dangerous, and although considerable efforts have been made to contain and reduce radiation, the exclusion zone around Chernobyl is expected to remain uninhabitable for at least 20,000 years. This means that the next time Chernobyl will be able to have a permanent human settlement will be in the year 22,023, and we are only in 2023. Voyagers leave the solar system. 20,000 years left. The Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 probes, two of NASA's most iconic space missions, have explored interstellar space since their launch in 1977. Their journey has been a testament to human perseverance and engineering, yet neither of the two spacecraft have managed to leave the solar system entirely. Voyager 1, the more distant of the two probes, officially entered interstellar space in 2012. Sometime within the next 10 to 20,000 years, it is expected to pass through the Oort cloud, a vast region filled with comets and ice objects that mark the outer limit of the solar system. Voyager 2, on the other hand, is following a slightly different course and could leave the solar system a few thousand years before Voyager 1. As these spacecraft continue to transmit valuable scientific data about interstellar space, they inspire us to wonder about the mysteries still waiting to be discovered beyond our cosmic neighborhood. Earth's magnetic field reverses. 700,000 years left. Earth's magnetic field is an essential component of our planet, protecting us from harmful solar radiation and helping maintain an atmosphere supporting life. However, this field is non-static and has experienced reversals throughout Earth's history. The last significant change in the Earth's magnetic field occurred about 780,000 years ago, when it completely reversed, meaning the magnetic North Pole became the South Pole, and vice versa. However, there is no regular or predictable pattern to these investments. Some research suggests that Earth's magnetic fields could indicate signs of an ongoing reversal process, although this process may take thousands of years or even longer to complete. Despite this, many geologists estimate that the Earth's field changes completely every 300,000 to 700,000 years. Only this change does not occur from one moment to the next, but rather happens little by little over several thousand years. Supernova near Earth. 1 million years left. Supernovae are astronomical phenomena of great magnitude that mark the spectacular, explosive end of a star in the universe. During a supernova, the star releases an extraordinary amount of energy in the form of light and other subatomic particles. This explosion can become so bright that for a short period, a supernova can surpass the luminosity of an entire galaxy. In our Milky Way, a galaxy home to billions of stars, a supernova is estimated to occur approximately every 100 years on average. However, due to the vastness of the galaxy and the variability in the life and evolution of stars, the observation of supernovae in real time is a rare event. But there are two stars about to explode very close to Earth. We're talking about Antares and Betelgeuse. Both stars are expected to explode as supernovae within the next million years. Let's just hope that the shock wave from the explosions does not reach the Earth. The footprints on the Moon are erased. 10 million years left. The footprints left by the astronauts of the Apollo missions on the Moon are a tangible testimony to a historic milestone in space exploration. During 6 Apollo missions between 1969 and 1972, Astronauts walked on the lunar surface and, in doing so, left a series of distinctive marks in the lunar regolith, the surface layer of dust and rocks. These prints are notable for several reasons. The moon's lack of atmosphere means no erosion or atmospheric processes can erase them, making them a lasting reminder of human presence in another world. The lunar regolith is extremely dusty, so the footprints are deeper and more noticeable than those we would leave on Earth. But although there is no wind or erosion on the moon, these footprints will not last forever, because they will eventually be erased by the impacts of micrometeorites that constantly fall on the moon. It is expected that within 10 million years, meteorite impacts on the moon will have already erased all the traces humans left on the moon. Mars will have an asteroid ring, 40 million years left. Mars has two small moons, Phobos and Deimos. For millions of years, they have peacefully orbited the red planet. However, thanks to the studies that have been carried out on the planet today, it is known that one of its moons is slowly approaching Mars due to the force of gravitational attraction. The moon is Phobos, one of its two tiny natural satellites. It's getting closer to Mars, and eventually, within 40 million years, it will be entirely absorbed by gravity, passing the Roche limit. When this happens, Phobos will be trapped by Martian gravity and fragmented into millions of pieces. This process will form an asteroid ring around Mars, similar to Saturn's F ring, although on a much smaller scale. These Phobos fragments would continue to orbit Mars, and their study would provide valuable information about the history of Martian satellites and geological processes on Mars. Saturn will run out of rings, 100 million years left. While Mars will gain a ring of asteroids, Saturn will lose them forever. Saturn's rings are composed primarily of tiny particles of ice and rock that orbit the planet in a delicate balance between Saturn's gravitational pull and the speed of the particles. Over time, these particles would be affected by Saturn's gravity and slowly approach the planet, eventually falling into its atmosphere. This process is expected to last thousands of years, but in 100 million years, Saturn will be completely ringless and may also absorb some of its moons, going from the beautiful ring planet we all know to a simple yellowish sphere. Although this perspective may seem nostalgic to those who have admired the beauty of Saturn's rings, it is essential to remember that the nature of the cosmos is dynamic and changes over time. The first meteorite that humanity will face, 180 million years left. Since the time of the dinosaurs, such large asteroids have not fallen on our planet again. However, it is known that these objects exist and are out there prowling and stalking our beloved planet. Astronomers estimate that an object the size of the meteorite that killed the dinosaurs 65 million years ago falls to Earth approximately every 180 to 200 million years. So it is expected that within that time frame, the human race will face this enormous challenge from the universe, a vast object several kilometers in diameter heading towards Earth. Fortunately, that is still a long way off. Let's hope that humanity will have enough technology to defend itself by then. Gamma ray burst, 250 million years left. Gamma ray bursts are highly energetic and fleeting cosmic events that release massive amounts of gamma radiation, the most potent form of electromagnetic radiation. These phenomena are caused by various astrophysical processes, such as the explosion of supernovae, collisions of neutron stars, or even the formation of black holes. Gamma ray bursts can release energy in seconds, equivalent to all the energy the sun produces during all of its lifetime. Despite their power, the Earth is effectively protected from most of the damaging effects of these bursts due to our atmosphere and magnetic field. However, if the explosion occurs too close to, or the blast is directed directly at our planet, the effects on ecosystems and living beings will be catastrophic. It is known that these types of explosions are scarce, and we could expect one in 250 million years. So it will be one of the events that fortunately we will not have the opportunity to see. The days will be longer, 4 billion years left. The Moon, our faithful natural satellite, gradually moves away from the Earth at approximately 3.8 centimeters per year. This phenomenon results from the transfer of angular momentum due to tidal forces. As the Moon orbits the Earth, its gravity generates tides in our oceans, exerting a frictional force on the Moon. Although the current departure rate is relatively low, this effect will accumulate over millions and billions of years. In about 4 billion years, the Moon is expected to have moved far enough away that the days on Earth are considerably longer. This gradual change in the length of days is a fascinating manifestation of long-term processes in our solar system and the continuing evolution of our planet and its satellite. Still, it is something that none of us will ever see. The Milky Way and Andromeda will collide. 4.5 billion years left. In the distant future, approximately 4.5 billion years from now, the Milky Way and the Andromeda Galaxy are destined for a spectacular cosmic encounter. These two vast and majestic spiral galaxies are inexorably approaching due to the influence of gravity. This result of the galactic dance will be the fusion of both in a new and unique galaxy named Milkdromeda. But although it will be a spectacular event, it will not occur for about 4.5 billion years. Gravitational interactions will give rise to a new galactic structure over time. However, the stars of both galaxies can't collide, as each star will be hundreds of billions of kilometers apart. The Sun will die. 5 billion years left. The Sun is a main sequence star, burning hydrogen in its core through a nuclear fusion process that generates heat and light. However, as the hydrogen in its core is depleted, the Sun will expand and become a red giant. This is expected to occur within 4.5 billion years. During this phase, the Sun will engulf the nearest planets, including Earth, which will be destroyed in the process. Subsequently, the Sun's core will contract and become a white dwarf, a hot, dense star that will gradually cool over eons. The final fate of the Sun is a natural and predictable part of stellar evolution. Although 4.5 billion years may seem like a long time, it is a reminder that nothing in the universe lasts forever, not even the stars. As you can see, all the events we mentioned in this video will occur long after humanity has ceased to exist as a species. Still, it is incredible that with our technology, we already know everything that will happen billions of years from now. And you, which of these events would you like to see? Let us know in the comments.